Dennis Chastain. I rear from Oregon. I was born and raised in Salem, down there, Marion County. And after school, I went into the military, and then I landscaped for a while, and then I was carpenter for a while, and I don't really know what ever possessed us to, oh, I do too. Employment went to heck down there in Oregon, so I heard there was a lot of work up in Washington. So I headed up on the Washington coast and went to work in the mills. I worked there for quite a while, and the mill work went bad. So I swore I'd never go logging. Well, I lied. I went logging, and the spotted owl run us out of the logging a little bit. So anyhow, I started salvaging cedar, and I was cutting shake bolts and shingle bolts, and there was a lot of salvage left over. So I decided to carve a mushroom. And I carved one, and it wasn't great. Anyhow, my wife liked it, so she said, well, why don't you carve another one? And got wood? I said, oh yeah, I got plenty of wood. So I carved another one, and pretty soon I had a half a dozen of them sitting in the yard. And one day a fella come by and says, you want to sell one of those? And I said, well, yeah. So that's how it began, and that was 21 years ago, and I never thought I'd ever make a living at it, but we've done all right. We kept the wolf away from the door, and so to this day I'm still making sawdust. I'm not smart enough or rich enough to retire, so I'll enjoy what I'm doing while I'm doing it. So anyhow, I think I'll crank the saw up and make a little sawdust. Well, I like to just rough it out to start with, and that gives me the basics of what I have to finish with, and helps on the scale too. So, and I figure as much as anything, the base is as important as the sculpture itself. So, I like to work on them. To make them just as wild as I can get them. Real twisted up wood. Stuff with a lot of character. And that doesn't hurt sales either. So. Finishing it up, getting all them little feathers and everything on there is probably the trickiest part. Well, this is the carver's choice of carving bars. It's what they call a dime tip. It lets you get in there to real small spots without a lot of kickback. A regular bar on a saw, if you put it straight in the wood, it'll want to kick back, and if you use one on something like this, pretty soon you don't have a head left on your eagle or whatever you're carving. So. And then this is, the chain is a 1/4 inch pitch also, because, and it's the smallest they make for a chainsaw, and all of that helps. And they've got these saws so small and so light now that they work pretty good. I use basically 3 different sizes of saws, this being the smallest, and then this is the intermediate size. And then I use a bigger one for, usually with a 36-inch bar on it, to cut on the on the bigger wood, just to rough it out basically. So anyhow, they're all tools that you can't live without. So.
Must have 15 of them.
And then, yeah, I've got a number of saws. And of course, after you're done with the chainsaw, we go to finer tools. We go to angle grinders, Dremels, chisels, whatever will work for you. And you never have enough tools, never.
Okay. I'm Margaret Chastain, and I help Dennis with the carvings. I do the finish work, some of the basic sanding. We mostly work in western red cedar, and the finish we use is log oil and sanding sealer for some of it, Rada sanding sealer. I burn their little noses. I have a little torch, and I torch their noses, and then Den comes and drills the eyes because I tend to get them lopsided. So Dennis comes and carves the pilot holes for me, and then I take the drill and I finish drilling them, and then give them eyes and paint around their eyes if I get them a little too deep. And sand, sometimes we sand their little toes and burn them too. We enjoy doing this, and we've been doing it for 21 years, and it's been a lot of fun and quite an experience.
Well, for 2 years after I started carving, I wouldn't carve a bear. Everybody carved bears. Well, one day a friend of mine talked me into carving a bear, and everybody wanted to buy the dumb thing. So I said, well, now I know why everybody carves bears. So I started carving bears, and to this day I've probably carved about a bazillion.
The bear here, the laying down bear, we've done lots of the bears, because bears are a big thing for people. They sell no matter what they look like, from walker bears to setting bears to laying down bears.
I prefer to do more lifelike, realistic bears, eagles, that type of thing. Probably one of my proudest pieces I ever carved was a 12-foot logger that's at the Timber Museum in Forks, and it's a memorial for the fallen loggers, all timber workers, I should say, mill workers and what have you. But anyhow, it's and they've got a postcard made of it, and it's a pretty proud piece. My dad died the year before that, and I'd like to have seen him. Wish he'd have seen that. But. I don't want to get too much done here. I won't have nothing to do tomorrow.